Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk. Yes, you are right. I am not Jack Nichols. No, I've taken control back from him. It's Nicki Shields back on the mic. Yes, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. Welcome. It's great to be here. We are currently sitting outside. The sun is shining. We're in Santiago ahead of the first E-Prix of the season in South America. And this episode it's a little bit different, shall we say. We are not talking to racing drivers this time. No, we are talking to someone who has actually been in the news quite a lot recently, and two other guests as well. But I'm very, very excited to say that with us today, please welcome Lou Johnson from Spacesuit Media.
Thank you for having me.
Super exciting to have you. Now, alongside her, we also have a bit of a legend when it comes to writing and actually really breaking stories in Formula E. We have journalist Sam Smith, who is now the Formula E editor at the race. Hello, Sam.
Welcome. Hello, everyone.
Thanks very much for joining us. And finally, we have Claudio Corradini, who is part of the Mahindra team as the logistics manager and also sustainability manager, but is an avid photographer.
Yes, that's right. Hello, everyone.
So, Lou, I feel like we should kick off with you because you have been crowned Motorsport UK's Young Photographer of the Year. Huge congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it kind of came as a bit of a shock. So I was told just before Christmas. So I guess I had a bit of time to kind of get used to it and was kind of like, that's great. And then they announced it and my social media went a bit nuts. So yeah, it's been really nice. I've had lots of nice comments. So it's always nice to have some feedback about your work.
So tell me, what is Motorsport UK's Young Photographer of the Year award? What's it all about? What do you win? Why is it so important?
Well, it's basically an award that recognises the work of people who are kind of up and coming in. There's a journalism award as well. So they have a young journalist of the year as well as a young photographer of the year. And it's basically about showcasing what we do and acknowledging it as a hard thing to get into motorsport. So we submit a portfolio, minimum 5 images, and then some very esteemed judges I look through our portfolio over a day and they make a decision. So they deemed that I would win.
Now I've got to point out to everyone listening that Lou, and watching of course, that Lou is very modest despite being an incredible photographer. Yeah, I think you are an extremely modest individual. Well, I'm guessing that means you probably weren't expecting to win. Was it a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I was really randomly having a cup of tea with my mum, and I just got a call from Sarah at Motorsport UK, and she gave me a call, and I just kind of didn't really contemplate what she was saying, and she was busy saying that we had there's an award ceremony that you go to, and I'd forgotten the date that she told me everything I didn't quite understand. When I first started wanting to become a motorsport photographer, you look towards different ways of finding inspiration, and Motorsport UK, or MSA as it was then, used to have the Young Photographer of the Year, and you look at some of the amazing photographers that have come through there, and they become kind of your inspiration. It became a thing of a benchmark of I'd really love to win this one day, and then this year I finally plucked up courage to kind of enter some images, and it was all a bit last minute, and wasn't really expecting it, kind of handed it in just before midnight, kind of going, doesn't matter, at least I've done it, at least I've submitted, I can try again next year. So I wasn't expecting anything at all, and it's weird to get feedback on your work, but really lovely. I kind of did university studying photography, and you get lots of feedback then, but then after that you get no support, you don't really get much. Your client are happy, and that's what you take from that, but you don't often get people, your peers, kind of telling you that you did a good job.
Now let's talk about the winning photo, or is this the winning photo? Or is it a
we
selection
had to submit
of?
a selection, so I think I submitted about 12 photos in the end.
One of the 12
Yes.
is this one, which we have picked because it is absolutely stunning. Now, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, then you can see it. If you're listening, I would advise you to go to YouTube and see it. But can you just describe this picture of the Mahindra race car, because it is pretty unusual what you've done here with the lighting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was from a shoot that we did to launch the season 6 car. And it was that shot and another, the side profile shot that I think has become a little bit more of like the iconic picture that all of the media are using. It's a series of 3 or 4 long exposure images of us pulling fibre optic cables over the car. So I had some really lovely people who helped me and assisted me, because it's a big job. We had a studio for the day, and we just tried out. You can't guarantee where each of the individual fibres are going to go, so you just have to keep going over and over and over again, and then you get back home and you work out which ones look good together. And I was quite lucky in that we'd shot enough, and everyone was very patient with me, because I was a bit, no, we can't, that doesn't look right, let's do it again, do it exactly like that but different. And
because this is a technique that you haven't really used before, so were you slightly nervous? But
a little bit.
I go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I turned up I knew what the girls at Mahindra wanted to do for their livery launch, and that they booked a studio all day, and that they'd bought some fibre optic cables and they wanted to use those, and everything else was up to me. So I turned up about 5 p.m. the day before to the factory and got given these really long fibre optic cables, and then they were like, right, we'll see you tomorrow bright and early at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I'd have to practice. So my other half and I, who is a lighting designer, so came and helped. Spent most of the evening pulling fibre optic cables over our bed, the chair in our hotel room, anything we could, just to work out how they react.
You didn't enter those photos then? No. Didn't think the
they're
bed
just somewhere
would really
in the Mahindra archive somewhere.
Brilliant. I love it. I mean, what a great feeling though, because you were on, when you won this award, you were on the BBC homepage. Not BBC Sport, but BBC.com homepage. I mean, that is viewed by millions of people every day.
As I'm now aware and realising, because I keep getting random emails from people all over the world kind of going, this is really cool, or I've seen your shots, like following me on Instagram. I still don't really know how that happened, to be honest.
Let's ask Sam. How do you think it happened? I mean, you've known Lou, not just from Formula E, but other motorsports as well. She's obviously got an incredible talent for showing what is going on behind the scenes and portraying these incredible stories. What do you think?
Well, it's fantastic. It's ethereal, isn't it? This image, which we've it really represents a lot that is woven into Formula E. It's so striking, so creative. As soon as you see it, it's just notable. But yeah, I've sort of followed Lou in WEC and other championships as well. And I think, having seen a lot of photography and a lot of photographers come through in motorsport, you get a sort of distinctive stamp on some of the photographers, and kind of without seeing the credit who's taken some of the shots. And Lou's one of those. So. She deserves all the credit she gets, and congratulations on the award. I think it was well deserved, and actually all those screams you can hear are all her groupies and fans trying to get into the track, so they've been beaten back at the moment.
Yeah, we should actually point out that while we're sitting just outside of the pit lane by the Formula E track, we are also in the park where there is a theme park and a fairground, and there are lots of people enjoying the rides behind us. So if you can hear screams, we haven't locked Pascal Wehrlein and Jerome D'Ambrosio away. It is just fans on a fairground.
Well, Formula E is a roller coaster, isn't it, in every sense of the word? I mean, where else do you get a racetrack where you've got a huge stadium here and a roller coaster fun park, and we're in the middle of the city? It's just encapsulates Formula E, really.
Absolutely amazing. So speaking of which, actually, there's probably a lot for you to capture at this race in terms of photography.
There's a lot. There is a lot, actually. It's actually a really nice varied track. You have the hairpins, which are a bit more kind of Formula E standard. You can kind of get all the catchments and everything, and then you have the park section and that massive long sweeping curve. So there's a lot to react to, and also the one thing that we're really lucky being photographers in Formula E, is that everything's crammed into one day. So editing is tricky in between sessions because you sometimes only get 45 minutes, but you get different light throughout every single session, whereas unlike in Formula One, often kind of everything happens around midday or the TV schedule, which is great for the fans at home, but for photographers can be quite samey, whereas we get kind of morning light at 7:30 in the morning or whatever shakedown starts, and then we get kind of not shakedown FP1, and then we get shakedown starting at like 5 p.m, so the light changes and the track changes with that, so you can do a lot.
I love it. Now, Claudio, let's have a quick chat with you, because obviously you're here, you're here in a very different capacity. You're not here as a photographer, however you have an incredible passion for photography, for motorsport and the environment. But how do you manage to find time to do your day job and fit some photography in as well?
I would say because I'm mainly an obsessed man. I'm obsessed by my passion for motor racing, but also for photography. And I can always try to find some time for my photography. Yeah. And most of the time I use the traveling that Formula E is taking me around to attach a couple of days here and there, and so I can spend in one trip, I can feed both of my obsession really.
Oh. I mean, I know this is probably a tricky one because you must have thousands of photos. I mean, you've even published a photography book as well. But if there was, like we've spoken about the Formula E car that Luce photographed just here, if you had to pick out a standout photo of yours, what would it be?
Can I tell you honestly that I've got, let's say I made a book in 2017, and it took me 3 weeks at Christmas, every day, 10 hours trying to choose my 120 pictures, because I think I've got 1 million to choose from. It's incredible. And honestly, I can tell you that I got picture I took and I had never seen it yet, because everything is so frantic. Is one race after the other, is one thing after the other. And when I've got this possibility to go out and take a picture, I just take them. I remember, I see what I've done, but then they get stored. And eventually, when I've got some time, I can dig them out. So I'm so excited to have also some time to get some picture that I might have taken, honestly, 10 years ago, and I haven't seen it yet. I just pick.
That's such fun! God, you're going to have so much fun looking back at old memories.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There was obviously, particularly I think when you travel so much and you lead such a busy sort of work life, you forget things, don't you? You're probably going to see photos that you forgot you even did or took.
Yes, at the moment, yes. I'm sure that when I see the picture, I remember everything.
Yeah.
I remember the location, the day, and also. I'm so happy for Lou, because this picture, man, is incredible. And I have to be honest, 25 years ago, when I was again in motor racing, I started my own photography about motor racing, which was not what the normal photographer doing, which is drivers and cars on a circuit, because at that moment I'm busy. So I started taking some fantasies, strange picture, probably due to some of the master, some of the person I always look at, which is a photographer that come from my area in Italy. His name is Fontana, and was very, very famous to make patterns and light and strange composition. So I tried to do that on racing cars, and it was really, really, outbreaking. It was fantastic, and I had a lot of success in there too. So there's so much in photography that you can explore, and it's not just environment. Is you have it around you every day, every moment. You just have only to see it, really.
What fun to be able to do that on the side. Sam, when we were talking about iconic motorsport photographers, are there a couple that you'd pick out? Is a sort of style that you'd go for? What's your favourite?
I think the great thing about photography is it's the beauty's in the eye of the beholder in a way, isn't it? But I mean, when I think about the great photos in motorsport, you think of people like Paul-Henri Caillet, Rainer Schlegelmilch, really bad pronunciation that, but Rainer Schlegelmilch. These are guys who, they were shooting 60s, 70s, 80s, and there's a really great shot that always sticks in my memory, which is of Ayrton Senna when he won his first Grand Prix at Estoril in 1985. And there's a great shot as he comes into the Parc Fermé area, and the team manager, a guy called Peter Waugh, is kind of crouched down, saluting him almost, or embracing him, trying to embrace him. And Ayrton's in the car, sort of reaching out, sort of getting ready, his belts are popped, and it's this incredible dynamic kind of scene, which is almost moving, even though it's a still image. And the rain's bouncing off the Parc Fermé, and it's a very evocative image. I'm sure we'll find one to put in this piece, but it's one of those ones that you've seen it and then you see it again, and it's just, I think in terms of the cars and the people, I always prefer it to the people. When I see Lou do some of the driver profile shots of Jerome or Pascal, it's always the eyes. You can tell a racing driver by their eyes. They've got very different eyes, and it's obviously framed by the helmet and the visor, but I just enjoy stuff like that because you can see into their, without getting too deep, you can see into their psyche and what they're about, which is fascinating, really. That photographers, artists can do that.
I mean, Lou, obviously you've photographed most of the Formula E drivers. All, would you say, probably over the?
Maybe not for them. There are a couple of teams I've not worked for, but yeah, they've none of them have escaped yet, I don't think.
So, if you were to pick one of the drivers, perhaps, who do you either not necessarily enjoy shooting the most, but as Sam said, who do you think shows the most emotion when you capture them?
Oh, that's a really tricky one.
I'll put you on the spot.
I think it depends. You have to get them at the right point. There's something very interesting about watching certain types of drivers on the grid. So Jev and Jerome, they kind of try and keep themselves to themselves. You can find them in a corner under an umbrella, something like that. And yes, that's very typical of drivers, but actually there's something about the kind of maybe 10 minutes before the start when they've got rid of their media commitments and they just kind of go very internal, and there's just something about that's just, it's quite hard to catch because often they then just shun you away, but they're quite interesting to capture. But then it's also things like we get a lot of characters in Formula E, and I love that. So when you get kind of little squabbles in the media pen after, Montreal, just Montreal and Buemi and season 2, we get so many different emotions coming out of the drivers that it kind of depends at whenever you're kind of if you're not working with them and you're just trying to get shots of them, then that's actually sometimes a little bit better as well. So
it's also a pretty intense job because you are on your feet, well, not all day, all week. You're running around, you're obviously carrying quite a lot of kits with you as well. Mm-hmm. It's relentless, isn't it?
Yeah, Formula E is a different ball game completely. I still obviously shoot bits of WEC, and you get a 6-hour race or a 4-hour race or something, or even an hour's race in another series, and you're kind of going, oh, I still have more. Oh, I can shoot it slightly differently. I can get a bit more experimental. But when you've got a half-hour session FP2 and you've been running around since 5:30 at that point, and it's 9, and you've still got a really long day, then it can get quite relentless. I'm quite good in the media centre of giving everyone rehydration tablets. That's become my new thing since knowing that they were a
some
thing.
of those. Where do we get those? Hydration tablets.
It's just the hangovers.
Yeah.
It's just addressing the hangovers. That's what that is.
It's
yeah, might as well. It's really hard working today on a hangover. Sorry, what?
Yeah, it's a properly when last year in Santiago we had Rihanna, I think, on the grid, and there was a big thing that people were saying, oh, she can't stay on the grid for too long because it's nearly 45 degrees and the track's melting, and she's got 4 people around her and everything.
Rita Ora. You're getting your celebs mixed up.
Oh.
There's Rita Ora. Even I know that.
Sorry.
Come on, darling.
There we go. Someone.
Similar.
Someone.
All the R's.
I'm too busy working.
But yes. Do we not count as the same?
Well, there was a point where I was stood there kind of going, I'm really tired and I've got another 45-minute race and the podium to go, and it's a lot, but it's so rewarding. FE race day goes in a flash, and you start at 5:30 in the morning when you get into the media centre, and you finish editing at 9 p.m. at night, and it feels like it's been an hour. and you're often quite exhausted, but it's a lot of fun, and it teaches you how to edit really quickly.
Yeah, actually, that is a great skill to learn. But anyone that's listening that wants to get into photography, what's your advice to give them?
There's no strict way of doing it. I came through doing kind of a motion club stuff for my agency, and then got moved onto the track side. So passion, commitment, don't give up. Keep shooting from all of the fan areas, because that's where I start, and I still shoot. Lots of us still shoot in the fan areas because it's the nicer areas. So just keep going. Perseverance does pay off.
Excellent. Claudio, any piece of advice for young budding photographers that want to continue their passion as a career?
Yes, well, as Lou said, those are very, very important ingredients. But there is one, especially because myself, I like to go in very remote places to take picture, and is try to convince other people that maybe want to join you to go and see something special. Because if you take picture, you are committed to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and to get the perfect light. But someone that comes with you maybe is not so keen, and you have to try really working hard on this for making them understanding that you are about to see something special. And I have to say that I organized a few trips for also some of my colleagues. Sometimes they come with me, and I can tell you the results are exceptional, because they really see something that people are, normally you don't think about. And so there is a very good advice, keep pushing and try to get other people to convince to come with you.
Love it. And Sam, finally, I mean, as they say, a picture paints 1,000 words, and it's your 1,000 words that they're painting, right?
Yeah, it takes more than a picture to paint my words. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, the words and the stories only come alive through visuals, really, and whether you're seeing it on TV. But I think what Lou does, full admiration to Lou and her colleagues, because these aren't difficult circumstances to shoot in. This is quite a volatile environment all in one day, and it's quite often really hot or it's really cold in the morning, Marrakesh. And I think just the commitment and the professionalism and having that eye to spot something different, because you can get thousands of photos that are very similar, or they're looking at the same subject matter, but the ones that stand out are things like this, the creativity, and full power to you. I mean, it's I for sure couldn't do it. I'll stick to writing, thanks very much, and just admire Lou's work and everyone else's work that is here in Formula E. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Lou, we cannot wait to see what is round the corner for you. We've done fibre optics. What's next?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. That is a wrap on our latest episode of Straight Talk. If you do have any questions from today's episode, then do send them in via Mahindra Racing's social media, and we will do our best to get them answered. In the meantime, if you like what you've heard, please do subscribe and comment, and we will be back very soon.